In the 2020 presidential election, we had a choice of a lesser of two evils. Settling with Joe Biden means that, although we don't love Joe Biden, he is a far better candidate than Donald Trump. With his plans for COVID 19, his impact on the community, and his qualifications to be president, he is the better option. As a biracial woman, a person with a sick sibling, and with extensive research, I have concluded that settling for Biden is better than A, not voting, and B, voting for Donald Trump. Starting off with each of the president and the president's elect, their plan for COVID 19. As of right now, there has been over 11.2 million cases from the Guardian News and Media, which is also the highest cases in the world, and over 250,000 deaths due to COVID under Trump's plan. Trump's plan was effective March 13th, 2020, and it is now November 16th, 2020, so about 8 months. 11 million people have caught COVID. He did not really have a plan other than the mandatory world shutdown for about 8 weeks or so, give or take a few. Donald Trump told Americans that they did not need to wear a mask and that a mask was not effective, as well as COVID wasn't that bad when he tested positive and had the best care in the world at a hospital where they were by his side 24/7. He held huge rallies indoors where only about 10% of the people had a mask on. There was no social distancing, people right next to each other, and there was probably thousands of them, as well as outdoor rallies. Biden's plan, when he will be inaugurated January 20th, 2021, is that 1, testing will be free. Testing can cost you anywhere from $150 to about $250, $300, or even more, depending on what type of insurance that you have, but testing will be free. Also, face masks and masks will be required in stores, as well as outdoor public places like a park or like a soccer field, anything like that. A mask will be required because masks are scientifically proven to help the spread of COVID. Also, he will do a 6-week minimum shutdown, which this time will actually have things shut down, meaning no restaurants open at all, possibly takeout, but probably not. Stores, clothing stores, non-essential stores will be completely shut down and closed. Grocery stores will still be open. There will be a minimum 6 feet social distancing between everything. Everything's going to be taped up again. Everyone's going to have to listen to the 6 feet rule, as well as wear a mask, which will be effective. It was effective at first, and the cases shot up right after summer when kids started to go back to school. So schools will also be shut down again, which will be online learning, which is hard, it is difficult, but at a time like this, it is very necessary because young kids don't have the immune system to fight off coronavirus. The impact on the community, meaning America, it's the biggest thing that we're facing right now. Racism. Let's start off with Black Lives Matter. When the Black Lives Matter movement hit after the tragic murder of George Floyd, Donald Trump came out and called protesters thugs and told them that they were ridiculous for being in the streets, even though it is a right to protest, the First Amendment. Also, Trump had no compassion and no empathy for Black people, people of color, people fighting for racial justice. Biden chose to speak out. He chose to use his platform for better and bigger things. He chose to speak out on the murders of people like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and many others that have lost their lives due to police brutality and just racism in general. Racism and COVID right now are the things that are killing America. And Joe Biden has a plan for both. A, getting racial equality in between everyone is very important to Joe Biden. He's made it a very clear message since 2008, which is over 10 years before these bigger protests have been happening. Also, just racism in general. According to BBC News, Donald Trump has called Mexicans drug dealers, criminals, and rapists, which is utterly disgusting. Categorizing people into a stereotype is disgusting as a precedent. Within Trump's inner circle, there are 18 white men, 4 women, 1 which is Asian, and 1 black man. Running the melting pot of the country, you'd think that you'd try to have a little bit more diversity when it comes to things like this. The reason why is because if you are a white man, you will never know what it's like to be in a black man's place. If you're a black man, you'll never know what it's like to be in a Muslim woman's place. Having people understand from everywhere brings in a different view, a different vision for America. We could bring racial injustice and racial problems and systemic racism all into one inner working. Joe Biden, this is not completely official yet because he has not been yet inaugurated into presidency, but he will have 15 plus women, which they are mostly people of color, as well as a lot of people of color and men, and all ages, young, old, obviously old enough to be in the inner cabinet. This is very important again. When you have people of color and diversity, not only do they understand real world problems, it's a light for younger people of color to see that they can be in such a high position with a lot of diversity. It doesn't limit their imagination. We've already seen a black president, and now we get to see a black woman vice president who's also Asian. That's never happened before. It's very inspiring being a person of color and a woman to see a woman person of color in that position. Lastly, the qualifications for presidency. Thank you to biography.com. Trump is a businessman. He was never a politician. He was even a TV star. He's come out in multiple interviews, one with Oprah Winfrey, saying that he's not a politician and he never has been, and that he probably would not run for presidency because he didn't seem like he would be fit for it. But here we are today. On the other hand, Biden is a 6-time re-elected senator and a 2-time, one elected and the other re-elected for vice president when he ran with Obama. He was elected in 2008 to 2012 and was re-elected in 2012 to 2016. Biden has shown great qualifications to be president. Although it's not the best, and Biden is not the best person to be fit, but again, it's a lesser between two evils. There is no known racism or racist quotes from Biden. Trump has blatantly put down certain people of America. Biden, at the end of the day, is just a better option and will be inaugurated on January 20th of 2020.